So this is the third Zoom meeting of this month. I really scheduled these in an effort to coordinate with all of the athletes who are currently on the roster. For those who don't know, my name is Shaun Fury. I am a storyteller and a filmmaker who is looking to tell a really cool story about natural bodybuilding across several different platforms, such as feature-length films, documentaries, docuseries, animes, the whole nine yards. I'd like to refer to it as a cinematic universe, not too dissimilar from the Star Wars franchise or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The reason I have asked all of you guys on here is basically to discuss how I would like to collaborate with the athletes of the sport and the fitness professionals within this industry. So, to start it all off, I would like to open up with a question to the room at large. What is the value of friendship? I'm seeing lip
So
thing.
it's actually a tough question. You really have to think about it. I've never really been posed that question before. To me, a really, really good friendship is like a give and take. You guys or girls should make each other better human beings by supporting each other. I think that's the simplest, best answer I can give.
Amen. Better
Yeah.
human beings by supporting each other.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That. Anyone else? Christian's always got something to say.
I'm a little bit. Do we need to ask that question? I mean,
I
isn't
think we do. I think we
that?
do. Because
I
me
don't
personally,
know. I guess what I'm saying is that when we say value of friendship, my mind immediately goes to, um, why are we talking about it in terms of economics? Is that the language of friendship? Economics, exchange, value, demand. That's just where my mind goes, and I'm like, I don't know that we need to assign a value. It's kind of like saying, what's the value of air? I mean, you can parse it down to discrete values, but I do think that there are some things that are immutable and beyond economic language. And so when we give it economic language, we sort of, maybe disrespect the idea a little bit because now we're reducing it to quantities and commodities. And I would hope that friendship is among those things that is synergistic and the values or the impact is beyond discrete capacities to define. But maybe I'm just being a little bit philosophical on that one.
I love
But that
philosophy.
was a big question to lead with, so I think I'm allowed to do that.
I think you have 100% agency to respond however you like. And I would say, based off of that response, the reason I like to kick off these meetings with that question is when I look at what the sport of bodybuilding and the fitness industry is currently missing, it's a lack of communal relationships that can actually, kind of like what Gary said, raise people to a certain standard. And it's that whole concept of iron sharpening iron. I would say, from my perspective, after only being within the sport and industry for just 2 years, my perception is that there is a lot of in it for yourself mentality. As an athlete in the sport of bodybuilding, it is structured to be a solo endeavor where you are competing, you're constantly going through the process of peaking yourself and always looking to beat the last version that stepped on stage. However, it doesn't really leave a lot of room for collaboration, creativity, and a level of joint community in this whole process of pursuing the best version of yourself. And the purpose of this project is I've always felt that there is power in story and there is power in myth. And if you think of your favorite stories, some of mine off the top of my head are Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or even the wonderful Marvel Cinematic Universe where they did like a 20 feature series that all led to Avengers Endgame. We can all talk about those films and collectively understand the emotionally resonating moments that occurred within those stories. And that is exactly what I'm looking to do within the sport of bodybuilding and the fitness industry at large. And through that, hopefully we can make some friends. Long story short, hopefully we can make some friends. So, to kick this off, first and foremost, as part of this project, which is intended to be presented as a story that evolves into a docuseries and a feature-length film, but first has to be grounded in reality. The reality of the situation is that the Natty King needs to be crowned, and silence, so far as this story is concerned, is not golden. So I am looking to work with people and for them to express their opinion about why or why not this project matters to the sake of the sport and the sake of the fitness industry. So with that being said, I'm going to open up the floor right now. Is anyone in favor or is anyone in agreement that the sport is in dire need of reshaping? And I'll repeat again, anyone who's got their phones off, this is not the purpose of the Zoom call. Like, we're not looking for audience members, we're looking for participators.
So yeah, I completely agree. And I actually left the sport around 9 to 10 years ago because I didn't see a future for natural bodybuilding. Um, for us back then, there was only the Ben Weider, and to me, that wasn't enough to continue the sport. Like I always looked for something else, and that's why I came back this year because I realized natural bodybuilding is on the rise, and the caliber of athletes that we're seeing in today's day and age are very good. So I would say like this year and for the coming years, it's a perfect time to do this.
Nice.
Hey, Shaun.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna chime in here real quick. Even though I know you guys can't see me, I'm just coming back from the gym for people that, didn't hear my intro earlier. My name's Mecca. I go by Mechanomics on IG. So to answer your question, Shaun, absolutely. Um, I think there's always been a need for natural bodybuilding to take more of a centralized stand as far as being in the forefront. Just because I've always followed bodybuilding, followed it for over 30 years since I was a kid. And growing up seeing bodybuilding and falling in love with it, as I gotten older, started to notice just, the problems with the enhanced. And as you see recently, in the past 5, 10, even 15 years, the amount of bodybuilders that are just passing away and at alarmingly like early ages, for anywhere from the 20s up into the 50s, as far as the age is concerned. So to me, that's always been a huge problem. Like, natural bodybuilding gives you an opportunity to do this for a long period of time, right? And not destroy your body, be in great health, but also on the way, teach this, reinforce some of the learned at a younger age. A lot of us are former athletes, and it gives you something to kind of fill that competitive void. And you can, like I said, do it for a long period of time and be in great health afterwards. So that's the biggest reason why natural bodybuilding definitely needs to get that push. It deserves to be in the forefront just as much as the enhanced part of bodybuilding.
Thank you for that very eloquently put answer. Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else in favor of this project as to why the next sports icon out of bodybuilding should be a natural athlete? That's the
Yeah.
question that we're looking to answer.
Yeah.
I'm
What I'll
definitely
say is that I think centering the sport more around what's around natural bodybuilding rather than the enhanced side, I think kind of puts the fitness industry in a place where we're actually prioritizing health and wellness again, rather than what's possible with steroids and things like that, where it doesn't become about health and wellness, about what the human body can do. It's about like it becomes I mean, yeah, like what economics said, kind of about like destroying your health, about just getting as big as possible, like at any cost, including death. And that's like quite morbid, but I think making it natural really shows what we can do and kind of, I think, crushes the limiting beliefs about human potential because seeing what is possible natural kind of I think reveals the question, well, what's the need for steroids?
Yeah, and honestly, that's probably going to be the biggest hurdle for this project to overcome because if the current trajectory of the sport is emphasizing or incentivizing the use of steroids, then the people who are buying into that product, they're also being susceptible to other products So it's not just steroids that they're open to buying. They're open to buying these supplements that these enhanced athletes are promoting. So if they're sponsored by a certain protein company and they think that Derek Lunsford's physique is the physique to chase after, well, Derek Lunsford is now presenting this, and they're already being conditioned to think, I am lacking, I need more, and now this person, this idol, is telling me what to buy. So that is like the one hurdle. If we're to suggest that you don't need to take enhancements or take external substances in order to experience the best version of yourself, then what is the product that we're actually selling? And from my perspective, it's got to be story, it's got to be entertainment, it's got to be performance, which means,
Can I,
yeah, of
yeah,
course.
I jump in. I think that you just you did a phrase, and this might be problematic for a lot of people in here. If Look, fitness industry is going on about 170, 180 years. We're talking 1840s. We're not talking 50s, 60s. This thing is a very mature beast. And you were talking about just then, what are we selling here? If it took us 170 years of selling something, and the result is this state that we're in, why are we still talking about selling something when that's exactly the malady that caused the problems that I hear people talking about? That is the producting of a physique, the producting of an idea, the exchange rate of, okay, you buy this, now you're a success. And all you have to do is buy it. Because when we talk about the best version of yourself, we have 1,000 other voices in culture. And many people think that the best version of themselves is whatever they can acquire, as opposed to whatever they can accomplish. So once we lean into sales and what are we selling, we're only affirming that narrative, which is the narrative that encourages steroid use, that encourages enhancement. So there's something, I think that one of the things I'd encourage of this project is to really constantly check, double check, just as you were approaching the bar for a deadlift, check your grip, check your grip, check your grip. Don't just go with the convenient language, because that language is far down a road that everyone here is saying they don't want to be on. So why are we continuing to use it? And I just want to double down on that idea. One of my biggest problems that I think that we need to reconcile, not us, it's not our job, but as athletes, as fans, whatever, I think that it's time to retire natural in the competitive sport. It's not a moral mission. It might be for the individual, but in competition, we need to just say, these are tested, these are untested, and that's as far as it needs to go, such that we can uphold the benefits of being untested, that we can uphold the benefits. Once we add the natural, which is this vague, loose term, now suddenly we are bringing with it baggage of decades. We're bringing with it moral conversation. And one of the greatest things I think about not being enhanced is the individualized road we choose, is the personal challenges we face, and the development education that we're able to engage without being fettered with an industry, with a moral message. We're able to grow without all of that. And so I do think that in the competitive world, the natural is now just a whipping boy. It's not an effective term anymore. It's mutated. It's in competition, you're tested or you're not tested. And that's what you are in competition.
I agree. I agree. And I'm honestly open, willing, and down to lead the story towards tested and untested. I think for the purpose of this project, we would continue to use natural and phase it out. We would just phase it
I
out.
was Yeah, and I was
Hey,
just couching it to your point
Yeah.
of, where do we need to go? I'm just sort of throwing it in there,
No,
not
I'm in favor of what you're
we got to
saying.
do this, but
Yeah.
more just
Yeah.
so
hey,
that's
I think
Shaun,
Yeah.
I
this
think
is
to
Nancy
add
Andrews. Hi, Shaun.
Hey.
On
Nancy.
along those same lines, that's always been an issue with natural bodybuilding. I mean, uh, the fact that there is no standard drug testing and no standard for what actually is natural. And that has always been a big sticking point with any of the federations coming together to do a joint show. And I'll go as far as in natural bodybuilding today, the criteria is not even the same for every category. So there's a couple major things that are just within the industry. There's so many different moving parts, and people don't even know exactly what they're supposed to do, which is why it made it really easy for the NPC to step into the natural arena.
Yeah. And
because there's
look what's going
very
on with that.
standard. You know, if you go to an NPC show, it's very standard. You're going to have this is how you do your quarter turns. This is what the criteria is. This is how we judge. This is what's going to happen. And with the natural, with so many different things, that was always a sticking point. About 20 years ago, when the OCB had just started doing the Yorton Cup, there was talk about the WMBF World's top people going against the Yorton Cup World's top people. And at that time, people didn't cross compete. They either did OCB or, and Christian, you remember those days. The people that competed in OCB as pros weren't WMBF pros, and the PMBA had their pros. So nobody at that time was cross competing, but the heads of all the different federations couldn't come together on the drug testing and the criteria. So, I mean, with you starting with a clean slate, because you're going to make your own rules, but it's something to consider. It kind of has the criteria is as little as it seems is actually big, because a competitor can say, oh, I want to do a natural show. Okay, so now which one is that? Do I do half turns or do I do quarter turns? Like, just having that
Mm.
becomes a sticking point, because people are like, oh, well, I'm not sure what to do. With the drug testing, one allows stuff, one doesn't. One's 3 years, one's 7 years, one's 5 years, one's 10 years.
Yeah.
So I think as soon as you come out with what you're going to do with your event, you come out with, this is it, this is my criteria, this is how we're going to judge. I think you're going to get more interest, because then people know and everything's set.
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
I
Doris, you
mean,
were
the
about to.
goal,
Mhm.
yeah, the goal of the IFBB in the 90s was to join the Olympics, right? They ended
Not
up
really.
going to that thing where they made all their competitors do drug testing because the Olympics forced it. And when their
In the
competitors did drug
1980s?
testing, people
1
dropped
year. They did
their
do
size
drug testing
com
1 year at the Olympia.
a
Lee Haney
lot.
won. Yeah.
Yep,
No,
that's when
that was the
Lahini was
goal. That was
competing.
their goal. Sorry
And
to chime
then
in. Joseph Wilson,
that in its
Joseph
own
Wilson.
lost
Go
them a
ahead,
lot
man.
of money. Oh, hey, how you doing?
Sorry,
That
bro.
in its Yeah, no, you're good. That in its own made them realize that people no longer wanted to watch natties. It wasn't interesting, so they went back to enhance because people paid to see freak monsters. I know we're not talking about like what, I guess we're trying to go away from money. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about the next bodybuilding icon, you're talking about who's willing to invest in this economy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
So
gotta, I
I,
there's
gotta,
no
I
way we
gotta.
can
Shaun,
talk about.
Shaun, I thought that
Mm,
your idea was that this was going to be like a reality TV show for the preparation up to the show.
That's exactly what it's intended to be.
Yeah, so that's a whole different, and that is not like anything that's ever been done. That is a whole different market, because now you have to appeal to people that are willing to put the time in to watch TV, which are regular fitness people, not necessarily followers of the IFBB.
Correct.
Because most normal fitness people, when they look at the IFBB, they think it's disgusting.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
I think you're on the right track with where you're going. It's just
More rules.
you need some rules. You need some, and you determining who's going to be on it. Um, I've met a lot of bodybuilders. I know Christian's met a lot of bodybuilders, and some are more interesting than others. So the factors for picking people to be on a TV show
Yeah.
versus just to be on stage, there are some characters that, like, they may not be the best bodybuilder, but you got to
Right.
put them on there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty good at the casting. I'm pretty confident about the
Yeah,
casting.
I'm
Yeah.
sure, because that's your world.
Yeah, it is.
That's your world. So that's what, and I think you really have an interesting idea. Um, I think the show part is probably the least interesting. It's the story of getting there that's going to be the interesting part, and that's going to make people want to invest in this and want to be part of it. Some person that has no other interest besides working out and eating, if that's all their interests are, they're probably not going to be a good character on the show,
Yeah.
although they could be a great bodybuilder.
So on that note, I'm glad that you said that. Gary, thank you for being on this call. You're honestly the perfect representation of like the standard bodybuilding purist, like the athlete who's like, from my perspective, the way that I would structure your story in particular is you want to compete with the best natural bodybuilders in the world, and that's why you're on this project. There's a selfish reason and a selfless reason. You're looking to promote the sport, but also selfishly, you just want to compete. And that is your character. I feel like, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I wouldn't be casting many of you. I would be casting you specifically. You're looking to compete against the top natural bodybuilders in the world, and then other athletes will be cast around you who represent something, a different motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that sums it up right there. One, I'm a bodybuilder first, meaning that competition, as much as I love it, it is secondary. I truly just love the sport. I love the lifestyle, keeps me healthy and happy. And then I'm a competitive bodybuilder after. That's how it is for me. I do love to compete. Every time I compete, I want to compete against the absolute best in the world. That excites me very much to do so. And yeah, and like you said, like just I put my head down and work, and I want to see how far I could really push my genetic potential. That's also something that really gets me up in the morning, that I want to close in on my utmost potential every single day. Um, Before I forget, we're talking about the Olympics. I've been keeping an eye on bodybuilding, the Olympics, and the Pan American Games. So I don't know if everybody knows this, but in 2019, bodybuilding was in the Pan American Games. And for those of you who don't know, it's like the last step before the Olympics, so to speak. But it was the IFBB that brought it to the 2019 Pan American Games.
Right.
And I actually reached out to them quite a few times because who wouldn't want bodybuilding in the Olympics, especially if it's truly natural? And I understand the Olympics has doesn't have a good track record with drug testing, but let's say in a perfect world, and maybe in the future, we do have that test where it's like, okay, we know who's natural. Wouldn't we want natural bodybuilding in the Olympics? I would say
Uh,
100%.
Gary,
Go
it's a
ahead, Nancy.
misconception that the Olympics are natural in any sport.
Yes,
Ugh,
It's
I
just that
agree.
you have to be able to pass the test
you guys are
on
breaking
that
my
day.
heart. You guys are breaking my heart.
Yes.
It's the truth.
You're breaking
It,
my heart.
it's sorry. It's the truth. If you read through it, they just have to be able to pass the test on that day.
Well, that's why I'm passionate about this project. That's why I'm
Yeah.
passionate about this particular project.
Can I offer
Right.
some language? And I would love
Please,
to hear people sound on this.
please.
It's sort of throwing it out there. The past couple of decades, I've worked under a model that bodybuilding definitively fits a category of craftsmanship. And granted, it's the body, but it is a craft more than anything else. So to say, now, craft can turn into art, it can turn into sport, it can turn into competition. Craft can be, once you're a craftsman, or craft can be just for its own sake. Craft is basically a human instinct to use tools to master the tools. So therefore, someone who is just a bodybuilder is just a craftsman. They may not produce anything, but that doesn't change the fact that they're just as much of a craftsman as the number one trophy holder or the biggest model in the world or the Instagram star. So that universal umbrella craft always fit well with me. Maybe those, not that one, those individuals are maybe who you're culturally trying to push forward is the ultimate craftspeople. This may that doesn't mean they're not competing, doesn't mean that they're not in competitions, but that format, I don't know if that helps with both your narrative, Shaun, but also for everyone in the room. Why are we all the same? How are we all? We're all craftspeople. And we may have different motives and we may do different things with our craft. And some people just may whittle away and their craft is in their garage. But I'm wondering if that might help be a bonding clarifier, language wise, as well as theory wise. Like bodybuilding is a craft. It's like woodworking, it's like violin, it's like cooking. And
Yeah.
you're a craft person and you just continue along in your craft, sometimes with produce, sometimes without produce.
So the way I like to analogize it, very similar to how Christian just described it, is if natural bodybuilding to me is analogized to, let's say the greatest natural bodybuilder is equivalent to a really great singer. she's got the voice of an angel, but she doesn't record her voice and she only sings in the house. From my perspective, if on the radio we're getting these like pop stars who are having auto tune and their voices doctored and
Right.
manipulated, and like that's what's being consumed by the masses, I'm
AI.
thinking about AI. I'm thinking about that voice of an angel who isn't being promoted to millions of people that could inspire a movement or could inspire the next generation.
If she was recognized as a craftsperson among craftspeople, then she can be upheld by the trophy winning champion for that quality of craft, regardless of whether she herself got the Grammy Award, you know? And that's why I'm introducing the craft model, is because, look, I ain't the greatest bodybuilder. I'm held together with broomsticks and duct tape. But at the same time, I won't deny I'm as much of a craftsman as anyone in this room,
Mhm.
and I think that we all are. That model may be that bridge to help you communicate what we're after here. We're not looking to start the next league. We're not looking to start the next, maybe we will, but that's not the sole objective. The objective, what I keep hearing from you, Shaun, over and over, is a cultural impact. That's why I'm offering that as a possible format that could help out.
I don't fully understand the singer to craftsman analogy, but I like your brain and I like where
A
you're going,
singer is a craftsperson.
right?
Once you're a craftsperson, you can produce something, an album, a concert, whatever, or you can sing in your house, like you said. Doesn't change. You're still a craftsperson.
Right.
Craft is craft.
Hmm.
You can millions of crafts across the world.
Hmm.
Bodybuilding is a craft.
Hmm.
There's some guy out there who's like lifting away for 30 years, never competed, never gone on Instagram. He's still a craftsman. He's
Hmm.
one of us.
Hmm.
Right,
So,
he's
as
still
a,
a bodybuilder.
right,
Like
because he's a
there's
bodybuilder.
a lot of gyms like here where I
Yeah.
live that are remote, that if you went out to them, like there's one that's out in, there's no chain gyms around it. It's a family owned gym. They own the building, they own the gym. And you go in there and there's probably 20 people that I would look at and be like, "Oh my God, they must compete." They don't.
Compete.
They exactly what Christian's talking about. They're living the life of a bodybuilder.
They're passionate
They
about their
eat the
craft and they
way the
maintain.
bodybuilders. They train out like a bodybuilder, but they're never stepping on stage, but they're still a bodybuilder. That's kind of the point,
Right.
right?
In other words, Shaun, you don't need a title or a recognition to be a craftsperson. Like
Right.
Nancy's
Right.
saying,
But
you
I
can
think
just be
for
amazing.
Sean, the tricky part for his is
Brain.
picking how many people are you letting
30.
in? Okay. And you've already picked some.
We picked 10.
Oh, geez, you only have 20 left.
Yeah. The
All
next
right.
I really want to focus on international athletes. So I want to be casting from India, South Korea, Germany, Russia. I really want to focus on the international appeal. And then
Hmm.
Yeah.
as we get closer to the final 10, that's when we really start focusing in on personality types and
So
slotting.
who
We
are the 10
investigate
who
Africa.
are the 10 people that you've chosen?
So we got Gary on the call. We got myself. We have Josh Manoe, he's kind of cast as like the reluctant hero, even though I was hoping for him to be on this call as
Does he compete or not yet?
he
Or
does compete. He's a two times Mr. Universe champion
with who?
in Musclemania.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So
forgot about that.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Who
So
else?
okay.
That's three.
So we got Matt Butali. He is an
I
IFBB
don't know.
pro. We also have
Okay.
Yoshi, who is basically Matt Butali's rival. They just went head to head at the IFBB Canada natural show.
Okay.
And then we have my training partner. He's the true underdog of the story, smallest athlete, and comes from a very harsh background. So we're using that story to
And
promote.
he's not a competitor.
He is a competitor. He is a competitor. He competed
What's
twice
he
last
do?
year. Yeah, he competed twice in NPC.
Okay.
Yeah,
What is
and
he like, a bantamweight?
yeah, he's small. He's small.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else?
So I think I might have just hit it, but I love and we got Samuel Bordeaux. He's competed in WMBF. He's also in Canada. He's got a heart of gold. He kind of gets classified as the student. He's like 23. So we're
Okay.
we're seeing the sport from a young, ambitious eye. And
Hmm.
that might be the 10 right there. Oh, and Zach Moore. Zach Moore. He's questionable because his communication is not great, and I'll let you all know. I spoke to Mark. He's the promoter of Mr. America. He actually did do a docu-series back in 2020 when he first put on when he first took over promoting for the Mr. America competition. And the first thing out of his mouth when I got on the phone with him a couple weeks ago is when he did the docu-series reality show, however you want to put it, is people love to see train wrecks. And I really do keep that in mind when it comes to personally, I would love to cast 30 natural bodybuilders who all have a heart of gold and are incredibly focused on promoting the sport of natural bodybuilding and have high levels of integrity. But if we were to go that route, then it doesn't really create as much friction, as much conflict, as much
Hmm.
resistance as will be required in order to tell a very engrossing story about like not just human potential, but the
Hmm.
human condition, which is why I'm leaving someone like Zach Moore on the team, even though his communication is not very good from my
He's
perspective,
never competed. He's never
and he's
been
never
drug
competed.
tested.
And then for Zach, it becomes a question, is he actually going to make it on stage? That's the question for Zach. Question for Valley, is Valley's heart truly in it, or is the underdog life story too much for him? Like these are the questions that people start developing in relation to the athletes that are already attached to the project.
All right, so I
The-
have a few questions here.
Yes, please.
All right, so with regards to the show, like what's the standard for, you're calling it the Natty King, right? So what's the standard as far as like, because all these people are coming from different, federations or whatnot. Like, what standard are you going to use as far as like what they use for the testing? Like, some federations will say we do this kind of testing, others will say we do this kind of testing. So if all 30 people are going to be on the show, and they're going to, I don't know if they're going to be competing
well,
from the
that
same.
that kind of circles back to what I was saying, that you have to come out with what the standards are for the testing and the judging.
Yes.
And I would,
What
if I
I'm saying,
were you, I would put together an application that they have to fill out, because you have quite a few people already, you've already slotted 10 people. You want to take 10 foreign or international competitors, and that leaves you with 10. So you want to make sure you get the best people that are going to be the most interesting and be good competitors. So
um,
it's going to be a challenge, because there's a lot of really good people out there that
Agreed.
are not
yeah,
on your list.
Agreed.
I see, and also I see the potential. I mean, when you said this kind of thing, me personally, I don't know, can you guys see me still?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see.
I can see you.
For me personally, like, there's a lot of potential here for because there's a lot of rivalries that I know of within certain federations, right? So my thing was, you know, if you're talking from a reality show standpoint, like there's some people that maybe compete in the same division that don't like each other, or maybe
Yeah.
some people in the same organization that don't like each other. So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to figure out is it going to be are you going to be following these 30 people competing in different federations, or is the plan for everybody to compete in that one federation throughout the different divisions? I don't what's the
Oh, you're actually asking about the how does the Natty can get crowned?
yeah, like how what's
Oh,
the
yeah, I got you on that. Okay, okay. So I'm gonna give you consecutive answers. First, I forgot to mention Demain Dawson. I'm kind of putting him as like the front runner so far as he's the most vocal about wanting to wear the crown, and he's got a great physique. He actually just won the Yorton Cup, I think, 2 times in a row as the classic physique competitor.
yeah.
Great rivalry between him and Carolina Muscle or Jamal, who was the 3-time Yorton Cup winner of the classic physique. But to answer two of the other questions, the ideal scenario is that we are doing blood testing quarterly, leading into a one night live streamed event, biggest sporting event in the history of bodybuilding, since Arnold Schwarzenegger was competing. Like that's the type of event that we're looking for. You can call it a bodybuilding tournament. I would like to describe it more of a spectacle or a show that ends in a coronation, and that coronation being the one athlete who will be identified as the next sports icon coming out of bodybuilding. We're going to
What is the length of drug free,
we're
length of
looking
time?
for a year-long quarterly blood testing process.
So 1 year.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
I could, real quick, Sean, I'd just like to just clarify, and I think this is kind of like what the crux of the main issue, especially with the name being the Natty King. I think at the forefront of it, just the name in general implies, of course, that everybody is natural.
Hmm.
So, and I heard you say something about a year, and I think the one of the biggest things with natty or not, quote unquote, is the standard of testing that's done. And I think if you're going to front load the idea that someone is natural, the connotation that comes along with that is that they have never touched anything. And so determining that would require you to have of the utmost testing standards higher than anybody else has ever done,
Yeah.
which is highly expensive, first of all, which I know money is not, I mean, but it is
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
And then can you even determine such a thing with a blood test
I have
or
a
a
solution.
urinalysis
I
or
have
a
a solution
polygraph?
for this. I have a solution for this. And I hear everything that you're saying, but the solution is storytelling. The solution is putting these athletes under the microscope of scrutiny and legitimizing their character, their level of integrity, and their
Right,
level of, do we trust these specific individuals? Do we trust these specific athletes? Because the
right,
blood work and the blood testing, whether it be quarterly, whether we're testing them for 3 years, there will always be naysayers saying, I don't believe that guy's natural, his physique is too good. And the only
right,
way
right.
to fight against that is by showing this individual as a true and honest person.
And
And
then
we
the
are
second thing
looking,
is this, is
yeah,
that enough? Is that even enough to be persuasive to someone who, actually follows the sport and knows, first of all? But I would just add this, that, when you're going to get a federal job or you're going to get a top secret security clearance, there are ways to determine whether or not been involved in any crimes, if you've had any such record. And so I would suggest, or I would, propose that you highlight the digging nature of the scrutiny that you're willing to apply to the personhood of the athlete. And so that not only establishes credibility, but
mhm,
it also establishes the fact that you've done your due diligence to actually find out if there's any information or any evidence to suggest that they've ever done that. And that would be similar to what Nancy was saying with an application process, and that during that application process, you could then go and dig into the history. They'd have to provide references. They would have to have people that would vouch for them.
hmm.
Like
Well,
if, I don't know
I
if
mean, you could
yeah,
do
I know, I
a
know.
certain time period polygraph prior to them even being accepted into the program.
Yeah, I think everything hangs on
I,
that, Sean.
I do
Like
think that
it, it
I
has to
agree.
be, it
Yeah.
has to be that way, because
So,
then it's not, then the name, you'd have to
yeah,
change. I mean,
right.
I don't know if you'd have to change the name, but you'd have
Never.
to kind of shift it a little, because that's the catchphrase. That's the
Right.
catch there is,
Yeah.
are you natural or not?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the biggest scrutiny. Is like,
Right.
that's going to be the thing that people talk about, is like, no, this dude's not natty.
All right. Let's
And
take a
there's
step
really
back.
no way to kind of avoid that. And when we're talking about competitive bodybuilding, that's a factor, and that's why there's the 3 year, that's why there's the 7 year, the 10
Right.
year. Because establishing a lifelong status is very difficult,
Very
if
difficult.
if
Yeah.
if if possible at all.
But easier to test.
What do you got, Christian?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to float this. Look, one thing we none of us are using is imagination, so I'm going to throw some out there. I think that we're
Uh,
using the same old templates. Don't get mad, Sean. I'm saying meaning we have a blank slate and we're sitting here talking about ideas that we know. So let's talk about ideas we don't know for a second. All right, follow me. I don't know if anyone's familiar with scoring, where you take your position in a class, first, second, third, fifth, whatever, divide that by the number of people in the class. This creates a number. Okay. That's an average. It could be a 376, a 241, an 872. I don't know. You take it out to 3 decimal points. Is that clear? The score? That's my score. Now follow me. If the Natty King said you must maintain a score for X number of years, this obliges a competitor to compete frequently enough to get multiple tests, as well as to perpetually prove that they are natural over and over again. If you must maintain that number, you are subjecting yourself to multiple layers of scrutiny, as well as avoiding the one and done phenomenon of somebody who just walked in and got lucky one day. Maybe what you need to do is take a scoring approach. You compete only in tested events, so you're a tested athlete, and you maintain a score. And you could even say something as so much as like, look, we will not consider someone who can't maintain a score below an 050 or something. So it really is a challenge to maintain. In other words, it's not about do you place first? It's about how many bodybuilders can you consistently place better than across any league, any judge, anywhere, anytime. This to me seems like a testimony of someone's greatness, not because that league has this standard or this league does that, but someone who perpetually beats people in
Well,
any contest under any scrutiny.
that makes sense for choosing people, like how you would score them for those last spots. But in terms of the testing, you're going to have to be clear on what
For
it is,
sure, but
just
what
so
I'm saying is
people
that this
know.
may be a bridge to
I
Shaun's.
think I don't know. I'm not following that with drug testing. I'm following it with competing in terms of getting points to
What I'm saying
say
in terms of
why
drug
somebody
testing,
is, no,
right?
but
What I'm
why
saying in
someone
terms
is
of drug
valuable as
testing,
a competitor because they beat XYZ and they scored
right,
this many points through the process.
right.
But in terms of testing, that's a little bit different because you're talking about if you're only looking at a snapshot for every 3 months leading up to an event. So you're basically looking at 1 year.
What I'm suggesting, Nancy, to address that is this may just
They
be
can
a
keep
bridge.
before. Yeah.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is that as a bridge, if you say you must hold this score for 3 years to be considered, or 2 years,
Mhm.
or whatever it is, or across this many contests, this now obliges an athlete to get
Mhm.
tested 10 times, 15 times. Granted, it's not the Natty King doing the testing, it's all these other leagues,
Right.
which adds a polite pressure to the leagues, a beneficial pressure, as well as allows Shaun to tell the story of integrity, which is what he was getting at,
Right.
meaning how many lies can someone tell before they get caught?
Right. Well, I
Now
mean,
that may not
yeah, no,
be
no, no.
I
I
think
know
we
where
can
you're
agree
what I
that
going
mean.
with it.
the
They
testing
would
is
by
a huge
right.
part of it.
By
I
by
think,
Right.
competing, but you're saying by competing, they're on stage, they
yeah,
passed a test. So they
I
need to
like,
do that
yeah.
repetitively and then
Repetitively. That may be
yeah.
one way to mitigate
Yes.
some
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it.
I get where you're going, Christian.
I love that idea, Christian. We spoke about that idea a couple months ago on the phone, and I've liked it ever since you mentioned it. I do want to present it as one idea because I think of athletes
Right.
like Gary, and Gary likes to spend 4 years in off season, and I want to be able to accommodate individuals like that. So I think that's just one avenue to prove a person's level of competitive quality and natural status. But I would just say that's one avenue. I want to draw it back to, yeah, testing's important, and my solution is the quarterly blood testing. But I also want to put a greater emphasis on how do we prove a person's character. And I actually have a little segment for that where we would actually have a person who I would like to refer to because I'm going off of the power and myth. I'm going off of like Game of Thrones style storytelling. So I would have a person who basically serves as the High Inquisitor. So whenever I bring an athlete onto the team, we have a segment where the High Inquisitor sits down with them, puts them in the hot seat, and basically prove to me that you're natural. And he basically quizzes them, asks them a bunch of questions about his life story. And if you can convince the High Inquisitor, then you're also convincing the audience. So it would become like a fun little segment where we're watching the athlete sweat, and we're like, why is this guy stuttering on his own life story as to like what got him into bodybuilding and stuff like that. And again, we're looking for entertainment. I have no doubt that the person who gets the crown of the Natty King will be a lifetime natural. I have no doubt of that about that. From there, it's just about how do we tell an entertaining story leading up to the events of when the Natty King gets crowned.
I think including all that is key right there, Sean. I mean, obviously, it does add entertainment value when you're filming throughout the process. This could be, people getting filmed going to get their blood drawn. This
Right.
could be, of course, in their daily lives, of course, and the scrutiny that comes from that. And I think if you have the ability to have all these 30 competitors spread out throughout the world, and then also have film crews, and if that is feasible, then sure.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
I don't know if that is or not. It
It's going to be
depends
a
on how
budget.
big the budget is.
Yeah, there's going to be a budget for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And that kind of
I
brings.
think also, Sean, I don't mean to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but I think a random blood test where the competitor's not going to know, is that what you're getting at? I think that's
Absolutely.
huge if you
Very
can do
similar
that.
to the
Yes.
way that UFC competitors are tested, where
Yeah.
there's like a WADA tester. They show up at like 6 o'clock in the morning on a random
Yeah.
Tuesday. Like that's how we
Publishers
That's what
Clearinghouse. Remember, we
that's
used
what
to
we
come with
want.
the balloons and you have the film
Yeah,
crew with you, and it's
that's
like,
funny.
surprise, you're getting tested. I think that'd be kind of cool.
yeah,
Why
yeah,
not?
yeah,
That's what we want for sure. We want it to be
absolutely.
as unpredictable as possible. We don't need anyone like predicting when it's going to be and possibly getting off of whatever they're on. So I think that's
What about
huge.
dime dropping? What would you say to add to the, just if you want drama? I would like, if you among the 30 competitors, how about this? A competitor can call out another competitor for testing privately. Both
Tip
competitors
hotline.
both have to get tested. If you call someone, you get tested as well. But you don't, that's what sets could set a surprise in motion. We're like, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah,
I drop a
Why
dime,
why
and
why
now you
privately?
have drama.
I'm a kind of person like I'm from New York, so I'm like, yo, listen, if I'm gonna talk to you, I'm gonna talk to you and say, hey, I don't think you're natural, and we can prove it right there in the spot. Period. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
You're
no
dropping a
Well, in that
dime.
debate.
competitive season, you could have just like you have like lifelines, it's like where you have three challenges that you can use. Like one of those is like, hey, I want to test
Yeah,
this guy. But you can, you'd have to have a bag where you can pull them out of,
sure.
like, hey man, I'm pulling out my
Yeah.
and, you
So
just kind of
That's what I
very,
mean. That
yeah,
the entertainment value comes, especially when you
yeah.
have, let's say, guys that not necessarily. You have some guys that just or whatever don't like each other, but then you got other guys that just have been competing against other people. And like myself, I'm extremely serious about the sport. I've always been, and I'm just when I train or whenever I do anything, I'm 100%. And so, at the end of the day, I just in my mindset, I have the mindset of, hey, listen, nobody's better than me. Period. Like if I do something, it's gonna take me time. I'll eventually get it. It's never over until I win. That's my mentality. So at the end of the day, if I'm competing against somebody and I think XYZ, I'm gonna say what I have to say right then and there. I'm not gonna say, hey, I don't think this guy's natural privately. I'm gonna say, listen, if we're on a show like that, I think personally that's the kind of thing that'll obviously draw eyes. People want to see that. They'll, latch on to people that either have some kind of conflict or if it's and it doesn't have to be so a lot of these shows try and I guess you could say uh coax people into doing that or try and bait them, but if you have people that really are just genuinely don't really have them like each other, don't vibe with each other, whatever you want to call it, I think personally that adds to the whole the value of the
agreed.
show.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Mecca. I was getting at more that would be a means of creating randomness, not
I
we're all going to
understand.
be whisper. Yeah, yeah. Just because that would then prompt more randomness and add drama to the story. Not that that's the only way to do it. Yeah.
Because again, you got people from different federations that maybe have competed against this person, or maybe that person has competed against that person, and it could even spawn to the point where, like, maybe the person has never actually spoken to this person, but now they get the opportunity to say, hey, listen, it could be like a roundtable discussion, and somebody has an issue with somebody, and say, hey, I don't think that guy's natural, and I've competed against him for X amount of years, and things of that nature. So I feel like just that environment. I don't know if it's gonna be like that because I'm thinking in my head like I don't think it will be like that, but I'm thinking like everybody's in some kind of like house like they do in the reality shows. Like you got 20 people in the
Exactly.
house and everybody goes about their day and you follow a few people here and there and then they do their thing. So, but I don't think the format's gonna be that way. But if it were to be that way, I think it'll definitely um, you know be
We're
interesting to
yeah.
watch.
We're gonna see how it materializes. It's basically pre-financing and then post-financing. Right now, it's pre-financing, and the only thing that we can control is the story. And we're drawing up on 7 o'clock, and just to hit home the point, I feel that everyone on this call is in agreement that the story of saving the fitness industry is something that is worthwhile. I think besides Christian, but for
I
the
don't
most
know if I'd frame it that way, Sean, just because
part,
I didn't get a chance to just to weigh in just really quickly. It's difficult, because there's contexts, right? And it's like, I mean, sure, from a macro perspective, we can all probably agree that um, steroids and the nature of that industry is not good. Uh,
yes.
I would say that that's something that most people would agree, like, hey, this is not a good thing for people. It's
Right.
not healthy for people. And I think from that context, yes, we as people who maybe share that idea or share that perspective could agree that that's something that's worth a while pursuit to champion people who are like-minded in that sense. But I mean, it almost automatically drives a wedge between, those the other side. That the wedge is just the line is drawn in the sand. And I think I can agree with what Christian says, trying to make it into some moral high ground is I don't know if that's the right route to take. I don't know. I really don't know if that's possible, but I
Even
think that because what we're talking about is swaying public perception.
Right.
And so that requires a lot of influence. And so the Natty King, the concept of the Natty King, as in, making a push to better people's lives and influencing people to take care of themselves, it has to separate itself from steroids
Mm-hmm.
by
Mm-hmm.
nature.
Mm-hmm.
So doing that task, that's a heavy lift, and I don't know if crowning the Natty King is if that's a necessary means to the end, if that makes
So
right,
sense.
but you know what?
We need to talk.
John, I don't think that the audience is going to be the same as what you find at the Olympia.
I agree.
The audience is going to be very different. These are people that do CrossFit, that do, you know, uh,
MMA and
ninja,
yeah.
Yeah.
jujitsu. I think it's going to be a more like family
Thank you,
friendly,
Nancy.
like,
Thank
yeah,
you.
like that kind of
Yes.
audience
Yeah.
versus the people that are interested. I went to the Olympia. I had not been since probably the last one I went to was 2004, and I went this year, and I couldn't believe the people in the audience.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
Ah, they just, it's not the same. Like when I was going back, in 90s, 2000, it was a lot of people that were just into like went to the gym, that were, maybe younger professionals that had enough money they could go buy a ticket and go to the show, and not families necessarily, but this is like they have like a cult following.
Oh, see?
And
It's like a lot of drug seeking behavior, a lot of
exactly. And
uh
it's not just the steroids. I mean, I can tell
yeah,
by looking
it
at these
is, bro.
people. I'm
It's just how it
sorry, but
is.
the amount of drugs that they're using between the weed, all the other stuff. I mean, there's nobody straight there. You
Yeah,
know,
I'm so glad that you said that, Nancy. And just
yeah.
to reiterate Nancy's point, and I still don't fully understand when someone like Christian shakes his head. I mean, I get it from his perspective, but like this is supposed to be a popcorn film. It's a popcorn film in real.
I know what I was shaking my head at is I do not think I want to throw any life preservers to the industry.
Oh, well,
When
I
you said industry, I
That's
was
why I
like,
was saying
no,
the context
Well,
really, really matters. And it's like trying
everything
to
else is fine, but fuck
well,
the
if
industry. Excuse my
if
French.
this Sean, if this does appeals to the general population, then that's a win.
thank
If
you.
it appeals to the small little niche
Screw
of
that.
people that follow the IFBB, you're never going to make it.
And just to be perfectly clear, I was talking to a gym bro at the gym yesterday, and I asked him what's his primary form of entertainment. He doesn't watch movies, he doesn't watch television, and he typically
Reels?
just YouTube, doom scrolls on YouTube watching short form content. I'm thinking about how can I solve a problem that is happening outside of the fitness industry. People are losing their attention spans. People are not getting emotionally invested in long form storytelling. This is a story that plays out over the course of years where we will allow people to emotionally attach to the outcome. This has nothing to do with the fitness industry. This is just a story that plays out within the fitness industry.
I
of
even
course.
think it's beyond the industry.
What was that, Christian?
I think it's beyond the industry. I
Yeah,
think that what
I
you just
agree.
said
I agree. It is
yeah, that's
beyond
all
the
I'm saying.
industry. It's just a
Yeah.
story that's implanted within the industry.
There are some like IFBB pros, like Jay Cutler had the one Living Large
Mm.
that was like I don't know if you ever watched it. My kids watched it. They got the biggest kick out of that. His favorite thing to eat was a turkey sub and try some potato chips.
Yeah. I'm a,
It was kind of funny. It was like it kind of followed him around in
So
life leading up to the Olympia.
Jay is on my list of people to collaborate with so far as the enhanced side because I do want
Oh,
to.
he's a
Yeah,
great guy.
yeah, he's
He's
nice.
from this area.
Yeah,
Christian, you know Jay pretty
Of
well.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going there. He's from Worcester, Mass. I'm going there this weekend, actually.
talk to
Oh,
him.
Monster Mash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, he's
Okay.
from
I
Worcester.
will I will see you there. That's where I live.
Nice.
Okay, nice. My sister went to Holy Cross there, actually.
Oh, nice. Great
So
school.
did half my family.
All right, well, listen, guys, we are coming up on an hour. This was a very lively one. I really appreciate all of the input and feedback. And honestly, this was the purpose of this Zoom call. I would love to do more in the future. And as I said, it's like there's a pre-finance and a post-finance. Once we actually attract the investors, which like what's going to be required is a groundswell. This has to become a public dialogue that exists outside of just this Zoom call. We're looking
Mhm.
for thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people becoming emotionally invested in the outcome of this story. And that's when we get investors. That could be a year from now, 2 years from now, but that's what needs to happen. And calls like these just further the conversation. We'll be taking these topics and these feedbacks and repurposing it to, again, further the discussion beyond this.
Sounds good,
Awesome.
buddy.
Shaun, you know, it would be great to help that along. If you could collect up, if people who are willing, I'd be willing. If you could make sort of a spreadsheet of a contact list, and if people are willing to talk amongst themselves, it might help you out to keep us all networked.
I could not agree more. I think everyone on this call, I have your email, and yeah, I would love to continue the conversation. I have a IG live scheduled with Greg Doucette on November 3rd, and I'm going to be asking him because the intention is for this to become a public dialogue that plays out on YouTube with other fitness content creators. So it's like Greg Doucette makes content about the Natty King being crowned. Does he think this is a crazy idea? Does he actually see the value of having a natural athlete represent the sport over the Mr. Olympia? I want him to weigh in. From there, it spirals out, and there are other people weighing in on the discussion. That's how we turn it into a documentary that we talk about. This is a cultural moment in the history of the sport. And like that's kind of the idea.
You know, you got chirped by Shredded Sports Science, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you for mentioning that. That exactly what you just described is what we're looking to have happen 100 times over the next couple of years.
You're on the right track, Shaun.
I
You're doing good,
appreciate it.
buddy.
I
Just keep
appreciate
it
it.
up, man. Keep the hard work up. I mean, I'm invested in. I'm here to support the idea. I have a lot of faith in not just the idea, but in you yourself. You're a very hard worker. You're focused. You have good ideas, and I think that what you're doing is good. And we just gotta. And I agree with the path. The path forward is difficult. It's gonna take a lot of effort. It's gonna take a lot of working with other people. And so, yeah, man,
Thank you.
I'm on board, man.
Thank you, man. I
So
just want to make a
appreciate
really good
the
movie.
invite.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just passionate about movies, to tell you the truth, and
Yeah, yeah.
I want to make a great movie. So I
That's what it takes, man. Hey, somebody's got to have that part of it, man, and that's where your brain's at, and that's where you're pursuing in that function, and everybody has their role, and so that's good, man.
amen.
It's gonna be great. I can see it
Well,
now.
Charisma, she's hopping on for a one-on-one. We're going to talk about sizzle reels and long form
Mm.
content. So thank you all so much for hopping on here, and I'll be reaching out. Like let's do this again. Like I love the feedback that everyone provided.
All right, man.
Thanks,
Thank
Bye.
Sean. Thanks for the
Nice
Awesome.
invite,
Thank you,
meeting
buddy.
Shaun.
everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sean. All
Take
Bye.
right,
care,
guys.
everybody.
Take
Later.
care. What up, Chariz? How you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so sizzle reel, and I'm good with anyone who else wants to stay on for this part. Doris is actually a music video director. He based off of the fact that like his camera has been off for like the past however long. I don't even know if he
Hmm.
still has it. But he would actually be a really you'd be a really great person to talk to during this segment of the conversation if you are around. Um, but anyway, yeah, let's hop into it. How are you doing?
Tired. I was at work all day, just studying, doing homework, but like I'm pushing through, I'm like, I'm always ready for like something to fill in the gaps in my in my Google Calendar.
Feel that. I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, I won't bog you down with too much work or too much exertion. And since I have Doris on the call, I basically was hoping to talk some creative for a second. The plan, the immediate plan right now is to start generating content on YouTube with the core intention for people like Greg Doucette or some other YouTube fitness commentator person to see the content and then weigh in on the validity of this project. We want people to see a sizzle reel that's 2 to 3 minutes. This is something that Doris and I had talked about a couple of weeks ago. But essentially, we want to create something poppy, flashy, controversial enough that creates like a gut reaction within the viewer and that compels them to say, there's no way this is going to happen, or this really needs to happen, or this is crazy. Just something strong, something visceral. And my current idea, we do have a draft for that sizzle reel that's about like 2 minutes, but I was even thinking of inserting maybe clips from these kinds of Zoom calls of people weighing in on the current state of the fitness industry. And it feels more like an immersive, interactive reel of like multiple people weighing in and expressing their opinions on this project.
No, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Just any kind of like conversation that we can get going. Um, like I said the other day, like bad publicity is good publicity. So like even if the comments are like negative or even positive, like we just want to keep a conversation going. Like, did you have like anybody specifically in mind when you say like weigh in on the validity of like anything with fitness or just this project in general?
Greg Doucette is going to be the best person for us to collaborate with just because we already have a contact with him. I've already been to his home, and he is playing ball with us. So I do have an IG Live scheduled with him on Monday, the first Monday of November. In the event that that plays out, we could even take a clip from that IG Live and insert it into the sizzle reel, and then it creates a bigger thing. But we basically want YouTubers to remix this story. We want people to remix this sizzle reel and have them going like the Natty King. For one, these guys aren't natural. For two, this is never going to happen, and etc. That's what fuels the engagement.
Oh, so you mean like people duetting or like reacting? Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
For instance, there was a YouTube channel, I think it's got like 300,000 subscribers called Shredded Sports Science. And I was doing an IG Live with three of the athletes who are already on the roster. And somehow this YouTube channel found it and then made a video about it and was basically calling one of the athletes a fake natty. And then that video got like 100,000 views in like in like a day. So essentially, in order for this project to work, we need to do that over and over and over again over the next 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Um, just like trying to brainstorm here. Do we want to have the clips be long or short? Like, do we want it to be like 30 seconds or like 2 minutes?
So the ideal scenario would be a 2 minute sizzle reel that is sort of like the introduction to the YouTube channel that clearly identifies and outlines what this story is. The Natty King. This is the story of the Natty King being crowned, the next sports icon to come out of bodybuilding. That's what the sizzle reel needs to explain. From there, my thought is to do a, I don't know, 6 minute crowdfunding video where we are essentially outlining what this channel is going to be and giving people an opportunity to donate to a 20-minute pilot episode that will be structured in the same fashion of a docu-series episode like a Last Dance or a McGregor Forever. So just to again outline the sequence of events, 2 minute sizzle reel that is flashy, poppy, controversial, and gets people talking. Then a crowdfunding video directing people as to how they could donate and contribute funds to the pilot episode, which would end up being a 20-minute episode, basically telling the story in an episodic fashion as to like how we're assembling this cast, how we're about to reshape the landscape of the sport of bodybuilding and the fitness industry at large. And we will be featuring cameos from multiple famous people within the industry and the sport, such as like Jay Cutler, Greg Doucette, and we'd be traveling, and that's what the fundraising would be for.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So as for, let me see. So like how much are we wanting to raise for the 20-minute pilot video?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I don't think we need much. We just need travel expenses and editing, and maybe videography. So we would need funds for a videographer, an editor, and travel expenses. So if I had to put it into a ballpark, which I'm terrible at numbers when it comes to ballpark and stuff like that, 10,000, maybe 20,000. Yeah,
So 10 to 20,000.
yeah,
I'm just writing down
yeah, yeah. And this is
figure
being
now.
recorded too, so we'll be able to refer back to it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so were you just planning on just mainly posting to YouTube, or were you also thinking like TikTok or Reels?
I think for our purposes, Instagram for short form content and YouTube for long form content, because we don't want to really necessarily finish on YouTube. We would like to finish on a streaming platform, even though YouTube just became the number one streaming platform in the world. More people are watching YouTube on television than like Netflix or anything else. I think that what Netflix provides is a level of, it provides a standard of viewing, where when you click on a Netflix show, you're already being conditioned to understand that this was vetted, this was greenlit, that there was like a production company behind it. So you're already kind of primed for a higher level of quality so far as like cinema and presentation. So I would like to finish on Netflix, but so far as progressing the story for the next 2 years, it will likely just play out on YouTube and Instagram. TikTok being whatever.
Okay. No, yeah, I know that in the long run, like, with basically the final product, it will be on Netflix. I was just asking, like, if YouTube was like the only form of media, because we do want to get like word out as much as we can. Like, I feel like if we limit ourselves, then we kind of limit the word. I think we can definitely start small, and then, or maybe we can just like go big, like do all three platforms to just
Definitely not
try to
opposed.
get as much word out there.
Yeah, I'm definitely not opposed. Yeah, and when it comes to if we were posting content on TikTok, we would just be chopping up the long form content that's already being presented on YouTube, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then are we thinking about like any hashtags or like,
We have a hashtag list.
okay, okay, just want to make sure. Let's see. So like we have IG Reels, long-term content, hashtag. Are we gonna have the other athletes also like just maybe they also react to the videos as well, or they comment?
Yeah, so I think building off of the 2 minute draft that Doris drew up for the sizzle reel, we would essentially insert clips of the 10 athletes that are able to like send over their stuff, and either, whether they're reacting to it or we're just getting silhouette or like cinematic shots of them training or posing or something like that, we would want to paint the picture that this is a unified front of athletes and creators who are all working together to pull this movement off, to answer your question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they already gonna be interacting with each other then?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I think we're off to a great start then. We obviously have this planned out and well thought out. Um, so like by when do you want to post the sizzle reel? Or like what else do you need for the sizzle reel?
Great question. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I think we should finalize the script. You haven't even seen the draft that Doris and I have kind of put together. So
No.
yeah, I'll send that over to you. And just as I've continued to do these IG lives, I see value in inserting certain clippable moments from talks with the athletes or talks with other people as like getting their perspective as to why this story matters. I think it would be very good to insert other voices into that sizzle reel, like Greg Doucette, a random natural athlete explaining why he is so attached to like how this sport changed his life, something like that. And if we took like maybe 4 or 5 of those and put them maybe at the very beginning or something like that, and then we segue into something a bit more flashy and cinematic, I think that would really flesh out the overall presentation. And yeah,
Okay.
so basically, to answer your question, we need to finalize the script, finalize the shot list of the script, and then we'll be able to shoot it, really.
Yeah, we
Okay.
could also create something even simpler.
Okay.
Right before, like, because you said you wanted something that just can get people like attached to, or just like make it known out there
Yeah.
visually.
Yeah.
If we can use like the clips you already have, and then maybe some like individually shot clips of the bodybuilders who are chosen already, and then kind of like do like a quick like montage to where we don't really need much money to get like a 30-second to a minute clip just to get people talking, that would be a cool possibility too.
I'm down. And I would be happy to start the process of getting those clips from the athletes. And then we could start Frankensteining the whole thing. I'm down to see what that looks like. And when you really think about it, it doesn't have to be like just one sizzle reel. Like we could do 10 sizzle reels between now and like I don't know 2026 if we wanted to. Or like going into 2026 is what I mean. So yeah, I'm absolutely down for that.
Yeah, we can get like a folder and then get as much footage as we can into that folder, and then we can see what we have and try to put something together. That'd be cool.
Okay. Now when you say folder, are we talking Dropbox? Like what would be the best way for all of us to access it?
Dropbox will be the best, but it costs.
Okay.
Google Drive would be kind of like, I guess, would say the freest, but it only holds so much.
Okay.
So it's really, yeah.
Well, I'm happy to foot the bill for Dropbox. I'm sure it's not that expensive.
Okay, yeah. If you want to start a Dropbox for this, then just give me access to it, and then I can go in and try to put something together.
Okay, so basically, just to recap, reaching out to the various athletes who are already on the roster, asking for clips of them training and posing, putting that together, and then cutting it together with IG lives of me saying really like impactful, like the Natty King needs to be crowned, and then getting feedback from athletes and other people that I've spoken to as to like, yeah, this needs to happen or something like that.
Yep. Or if we could get like the athletes that are chosen also
Mhm.
to kind of like summarize their philosophy in one
Hmm.
sentence.
I love that. I love that. I love
So
that.
we'll have different like where some of them will be like, I'm gonna be the best. Some of them will just be like, I'm here to do my best.
Hmm.
I just love to have fun, and
Hmm.
then just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. That's all very doable too.
yeah. And then that way we can get something started without a huge budget, and then later on when we actually hire a cameraman and stuff, then we can put together like a little trailer
Hmm.
with the 10 to 20,000 once we get that funding.
I love it. All right. Well, that sounds like very tackleable. So cool, man. All right. Well, I have a heading. I didn't want to take up too much of you guys' time, so this is pretty good. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything else.
I mean, just one more. I don't know if this is like a issue with like copyright, but that just what you just said, Doris, kind of gave me an idea. Like, what if they have like a song? Like, maybe they choose a song that they want
So
to.
we actually and I like I want a theme song for the
Mm,
Night King. And I have like a very Game of Thrones type idea in my head where are you guys familiar with metronomes? So basically, we want to basically tell this story around the crown being like the thing that everyone's going for. The crown of the Natty King is kind of symbolic in the same way that the One Ring from Lord of the Rings is like a symbol or like an artifact. So the idea is we hear the noise of the crown being forged, and it's like a clanging, like clang, 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 and then we hear music that arises from that clanging noise where it becomes like orchestral and rock. I have like an orchestral rock theme song happening in my head, but the entire time you're hearing the clanging of the crown being made, and then you hear the song, and then it kind of tapers off, and the last thing that you hear as it echoes is the clanging. So like that would be the conceptual theme song. That being said, I don't know if the theme song will be ready by the end of this year. But like I do definitely want a theme song for this project because it just needs it.
Well, I know you wanted a theme song, but what I meant was like since we're gonna edit each of these athletes, like what if they have like a song that pumps them up
Mhm.
during a workout and then they wanted to use that in their edit. But that's what I was saying. Like I don't know if we have like if we're gonna have issues with like copyright. I don't know if it's like
Well,
acceptable.
wait, I was yeah. So in regards to what you said, I think it's fine as long as it's under 30 seconds. And then if we're putting a bunch of songs together, because I think the rule is for YouTube, as long you can take any song and put it together and it's not copyright, it's considered mix and mash, like a mix mash, like a mashup.
Mm,
So it depends on how we, I guess, produce and engineer it. If we take 10% to 30% of the song and then we make a 10% difference, then it becomes a complete new song.
mhm.
So we can do like kind of like add sound effects in the background, or if we already have the theme song, kind of have the theme song fade into like their own songs.
It'd be great if we got the theme song, but I'm not banking on the fact that we have that within the next 6 weeks.
Okay, yeah.
It'd
So
be dope, but I'm not banking on that.
adding their like a little 10 to like 15-second clips or like of their favorite songs with like the sound effects of their workouts and all that good stuff, I think will help us pass. I think we will be able to
That
do.
actually would be so cool. Like if the sound effects were like like iron or like hammers or like a nail, like I don't know, like even something as like outrageous as like a chainsaw or something. I don't know, like it would just be so funny if we made them like sound
Yeah,
like
it's supposed to be
machines.
entertaining. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
entertaining. And like we're supposed to like people when they first see it, they're supposed to scoff at the project. They're supposed to go
Hmm.
like, "What?
Uh,
Like the Natty King, what?" Like, yeah. So I love that idea. We should have fun with it.
Yeah. And I think it would kind of like play on this idea of like the Natty King, but we're kind of advertising them as like machines, like something like something that's completely unattainable. But we're just like no, like the human body is a machine.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's what we're saying. Like you can be completely natural and still your body is like doing something incredible.
I like it. Yeah, no, I like it.
yeah, I like it too. It sounds good.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So my homework on my end is Dropbox, put you guys in it, and then start collecting workout vids and philosophies of the athletes. So my intention is to get these guys to start meeting with each other on like a semi-frequent basis on IG Live. So I would
Hmm.
encourage them to share their philosophies with each other on Instagram Lives. So then they would have access to those, and we would be able to clip those into the sizzle reel. And then we would also have them like posing and doing other stuff. And then we'd also pepper in other people weighing in on the project.
Yeah, the more controversial, the better. Like if their philosophy is something crazy that we can kind of like, yep.
I forgot to mention, I also have she goes by the voice of the OCB. The OCB is a bodybuilding federation. And apparently, well, she basically offered her voice if ever we need a female narrator. So that's
Nice.
something
That's Tiff.
awesome. Hmm?
Is that Tiff?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Have you heard her voice?
Yeah, she usually it was the announcer at my first show. I talked and then she's like always hyping me up. She's cool.
Okay, yeah. So she has offered her voice to be a part. Like she doesn't have to be a part of this sizzle reel, but she's also available for this sizzle reel if it makes sense. And she's offered her voice for future projects in the event that we need her.
Nice, so like a narrator.
Yes. Which I think, I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
That would be, yeah.
Yeah.
we just got to figure out. We'd have to rework the script to incorporate all this because there's a lot of sounds like we're building on a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
My whole thing is like, how can we get something complete as simple as possible without like making it too complex?
Okay. I'm down for simple, and then we can always make it complex later.
Yep.
Like, yeah, we can put out one sizzle reel that's simple and then see how it does, and then we can make something more complex later on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So kind of something to build upon. We just need a base.
Okay. Okay.
Even if we don't release it and we have something and we know like what direction visually we're going with,
Okay.
and then we add that in, then that will put us in a good spot. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Here's another question. Do we want vertical or horizontal? Are we keeping that in mind so far as like the visual presentation?
So if we do vertical, YouTube does best with 10-minute videos. If we do horizontal, Instagram does best with 1 minute videos.
Okay.
So I think it depends on the clips and what it'll take to tell the story.
Okay.
So once you get all the clips together, I think I can put together a horizontal and then do like a fast-paced version of that to get people to go and look at the horizontal.
Okay.
So ideally, like we're storytellers, cinematographers, video movie lovers, so we're gonna love horizontal all the time. But I think, like Charisma was saying, vertical is how people get eyes on it because you have to already kind of be invested in order to watch a horizontal video in these days. So we're gonna need something. We're gonna need both, to be honest.
Okay.
The horizontal for our purpose and what we're trying to do, and then the vertical for the interest.
Understood. All right. This is helpful. All right. Well, I've got my homework. Are there any additional questions?
No,
Um,
I think so far I'm good. I'll just take a look at that
good.
the sizzle script.
Yeah, I'll send that over to you right now.
Yeah, we had some changes. I think you wanted to incorporate some of Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that. We didn't really do. If you still
Oh,
want to do that,
yeah. Yeah. Just to give an example as to like what the next icon out of bodybuilding is going to resemble.
okay, yeah. So if you add Charisma on as an editor, and then
Okay.
whatever she wants to do to change it as well, that
Okay.
she has free reign, and then I'll check on it, look at it, and then I'll once everybody puts their input, then I'll see how we can tie that in with the Arnold stuff, and then complete it.
I love it. Okay. Sounds good. I will do that right now. And yeah, I will follow up with you by the end of the week.
All right, love talking to you guys. I'm excited.
Okay, me too. Thank you both for being on this call. And yeah, let's keep this train rolling. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Sounds good.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Adios.
Bye.
All
Bye.
right.